Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all committee members, staff, and guests to the March 25th, 2024 Haldeman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Meeting. I would like to remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed. With that, I call the March 25th, 2024 Haldeman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory Meeting to order. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interests? Seeing none. Additions to the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? None. There are no presentations listed today. So adoption of the advisory committee meeting minutes. And it's 4.1, Health and Social Services Advisory Committee, February 26, 2024. May I have a motion to approve the Haldeman Norfolk Health and Social Services Advisory meeting minutes from February 26, 2024. Moved by Councillor Metcalf, seconded by Councillor Duthie. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Are there any updates on previous reports? Sarah, I think, has an update. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, not much to update. All reports went through Board of Health and were passed, and staff has moved on as directed. Thank you.
Thank you. Under consent items, are there any consent items? Seeing none. Move on to staff reports. 7.1 General Manager. 7.2 Public Health. Public Health. Oh. 7.2 Public Health. 7.21 Safe Water Program Update H&SS 24011. Have a mover, please. Moved by Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Van Rishi. Any discussion? Is somebody going to present this report? Yes, Sarah?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to introduce Alexis Atkinson, who's online to present this report for us.
Good morning, everybody. I will provide a brief synopsis of the Safe Water Program Update 2023. The Environmental Health Team at the Haldeman Norfolk Health Unit is tasked with fulfilling the requirements of the Ontario Public Health Standards as they pertain to safe drinking water and the Safe Drinking Water and Fluoride Monitoring Protocol. The Environmental Health Team has primary oversight of several regulations under the HPPA, including Small Drinking Water Systems, which is Reg 319, the Food Premises Regulation, which is 493, the Rec Camp Regulation, which is number 503, and the Personal Service Setting Reg 136. In Haldeman, Norfolk, we have 251 active small drinking water systems. We have 15 personal service settings that fall under that regulation as well, and 16 home-based food premise locations. We have 48 drinking water systems as well under Regulation 170, which we share responsibility with the MECP. We have 89 active sites subject to Regulation 243, which includes schools, private schools, and child care centers. In 2023, we had a total of 69 adverse water quality incidences and 5 drinking water complaints. We have a total of 43 mobile food premises, which fall under these regulations. 253 special events that we have to address water in. Bunkhouses, we had 617 inspections, plus 52 re-inspections last year for adverse water. We received a total of 30 spill reports from the Spills Action Center last year. And in total, we submitted 3,240 private water samples, and we also addressed 144 drinking water inquiries. We have a total of 32 water haulers, which we have oversight of. And in Haldeman, Norfolk, we have 39 pools and spas. Other factors that affect water include hydrogen sulfide and other chemicals, and of course, source water protection. And that is my brief synopsis for the water report today.
Thank you, Alexis. Is there any questions or Councillor Metcalf?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. I see the water haulage vehicles. Do we test from the tanks? I know a lot of them are converted milk trucks, so they have stainless steel, but some of them I see on the road still have, I guess for lack of a better word, just a steel tank, which could maybe corrosion on the inside or different things that happen. So what is the procedure for testing the tanks or testing the water from there?
Absolutely. So our inspectors, so our water hauler program actually has just resumed this year. It was on pause due to COVID and was not one of the priorities during that time. However, we have just restarted the water hauler program, and yes, the inspectors go out to the water hauler business themselves, inspect the actual truck, go inside the tank if necessary to ensure the cleanliness, and test the water. The water actually usually comes from a municipal source, so we now have made arrangements with Norfolk County and Haldeman County to if they do not have a current inspection that they need to verify with us that that water hauler business has been inspected, to release the water to them to ensure that they're safe. We did have a couple of hits last year in cisterns where the water was hauled in. And the cistern itself seemed to be in good condition. So we thought it was a priority to ensure that the water haulers are also inspected regularly as well.
Great. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you, Alexis. Councillor Van Riesche?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. Just a curiosity question on the 39 pools and spas. So those are our facilities that we have municipally wide, as well as, is this motels that have pools and spas? So you do an inspection in those as well, so people are comfortable knowing that all those places are inspected as well?
That is correct, and any infractions can always be found on our disclosure website. Same thing with all of our PSSs, our food premise locations. Anything that has an infraction will be uploaded to our disclosure website, which is a requirement.
Any further questions? I just have more of a comment. So we pulled back from this program during COVID, which is very sad to see. However, do we have any implications going forward? If we were to go through another pandemic, how are we going to keep up these standards going forward? Have we looked at that?
We are definitely looking at contingency plans in case of emergencies. As we know, measles is on the uptick right now, so we are moving forward with plans to ensure that we have enough staff in every department to go through regular business. COVID-19 was unprecedented in terms of it required all hands on deck to address. And as we pulled back, we resumed normal activities. We did have a backlog due to COVID with water, but we are actively seeking to ensure that we are up to date, hopefully by July.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Thank you for your presentation. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. 7.2.2, Haldeman Norfolk Health Unit 2024 Strategic Plan, H&SS 24009. I'm not sure if Julie is going to do the presentation.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Actually, I'm going to introduce Program Manager Sarah Titmus to introduce this.
Thank you.
Good morning. Through the chair to the board, I'll give you a brief overview of the Health Unit Strategic Plan for 2024 to 2027. So we've undertaken a robust strategic planning process that included a range of diverse inputs that were gathered and analysed. This included a strategic planning committee, HNHU staff, key decision makers, the advisory committee and Board of Health, community partners, and the community at large through our recently completed community needs assessment. While developing a strategic plan is mandated by the Ontario Public Health Standards, H&HU has developed a strategic plan with a purpose. As you can see from the document included, we have developed a modern, lean document that outlines our vision, mission, values, grounding principles, and objectives. The plan also demonstrates H&HU's dedication and focus on collaboration, equity, and integrity. This plan will be our key document when making big decisions, for example, assigning resources over the next few years, assist us to communicate with our community partners what our strategic goals are, and to assist in those relationships with moving forward together towards joint goals. The plan is also open enough that if changes occur, we can be flexible to meet community need. The next steps for the plan, now that it is developed and obviously once approved by this committee and the Board of Health, will move into the early implementation phase. And action planning focus groups will take place with the health unit staff, will review strategic priorities and objectives, develop an action plan to meet our priorities through the outlined objectives. That action plan is set to be implemented the beginning of May 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Can I get a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Metcalf, seconded by Councillor Duffy. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion, questions? Councillor Duffy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, thank you for the reports. Looks like certainly a lot of work went into developing the plan, so I appreciate that. You mentioned that you're developing the action plan, and you should hopefully have that by May. Will that come to this advisory committee? Will we see sort of what the rollout looks like?
That's a good question. It's certainly something we can bring back to this committee if they'd be interested in seeing the implementation plan.
I know I would, so I would certainly appreciate it, at least if it came back in the form of some sort of information memo or something. You know, within there, you've addressed certain things that are absolutely important in our communities, mental health, addictions, and things like that. And you know, I think we need to continue those conversations to sort of promote overall health and well-being. So seeing what we're doing towards that goal would be appreciated.
For sure, we can certainly bring that back.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for the presentation. And the strategic plan is, you know, a difficult document to work through, so I appreciate the hard work that's gone into this with everyone involved. Without any more questions, all in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Next is 7.2.3, 2024 Annual Service Plan and Budget Submission, H&SS 24013. We have a presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to introduce Program Manager Jackie Wood, and we also have Finance here with us today, Michael Van Sickle.
Thank you, Sarah. Through the chair to committee members, good morning. I will be presenting on report HSS-24-013, the Annual Service Plan and Budget Submission. So this report is to advise the Board of Health on the submission of the Annual Service Plan to the Ministry of Health and request that the Board endorse the submission. So the Ministry of Health is required to submit an annual service plan to accompany the request for funding for mandatory, related, and one-time programs. The purpose of the annual service plan is to communicate program plans and budget expenditures for a given year in fulfillment of the Ontario Public Health Standards. There are a couple of changes to the template and process for 2024 that I'd like to highlight. The first being that COVID-19 programs have been incorporated in the immunization and the infectious and communicable diseases prevention and control standards. And secondly, that there's an opportunity to highlight and ask for additional funding for the Ontario Senior Dental Care Program based on local needs and financial predictions. So a summary of the 2024 Annual Service Plan includes base funding. So for mandatory programs, a Board of Health approved budget of $9,537,100. And for Ontario Senior Dental Care Program, a Board of Health approved budget of $633,300, with an additional request due to increased pressures of $316,700, included for a total of $950,000. So for COVID-19 programs, COVID general and vaccine programs have been included as part of the mandatory programs, as I just mentioned, per the Board of Health approved initiative. And then for one-time programs, One-time funding requests for 2024 were removed from the template, with the focus turning to merger proposals. The ministry has since provided assurance that there will be funding available for the Public Health Inspector Practicum program for this year, with the funding to be in line with the previous year. And lastly, I just wanted to note that the annual service plan does not include programs funded by the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services, previously approved Ministry of Health one-time funded programs, or third-party funded programs. So that concludes my summary of the report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Van Riesche, go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I'm curious about the dental. There's a program that's out now that everyone can apply for to see if you qualify to get the dental care, and of course it's, I think it's under 90,000 or something like that. Did you take that into account when we're looking at the dental programs that we run? Was that taken into account? Because by rights, okay, you're going to have an answer for me. Okay, because I just don't want a duplication of service. I don't want us putting in funds when people are quite capable of filling out the form, and it takes 3 months or something. I read up on it before it's used, so I'm wondering, is this something that's up to the 3 months, or what's that's going to look like? Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair to committee member Vanda Drishi. Yes, so these are two different programs. That is a federal program that came down the Seniors Dental Initiative that is being rolled out for the first 6 months of this year. And like you said, that's the application process that goes through. Completely separate is the provincial funding for the Ontario Seniors Dental Program that we're running at the health unit. We expect that by the end of this year, there'll be far more clarity on who is qualified for each program and what that will entail for our program moving forward. But it was highly recommended from the ministry to put in additional costs this year in order to keep the program running for this year. And then once the overlap happens of who is qualifying for which programs and which services are being delivered at what level, then there will be a better understanding of funding moving forward.
If I may. So what we're saying is we're putting it in now, just as to keep a spot for it and to be used, because obviously all those that are using the program will qualify for the program in the next few months. And I've read up on it, and there's quite a bit that's being done. So if the ministry is recommending that, then obviously we should be doing that. So as long as we're keeping abreast of it, I just don't like the duplication of service at all. Thank you.
Yes, and through you, Madam Chair, I just wanted to reiterate, you cannot qualify for both programs. So there isn't the ability with the tracking with your health card. You can't qualify for both programs and do some dental services under one and some dental services under the other. So if you qualify for the federal program, you'll be funded through the federal program and won't be eligible for the Ontario program delivered by the health units.
Okay, so there'll be you'll know if there's a difference between the two programs.
Correct.
Okay, because some people should stay on that particular program because it doesn't offer everything on the other program.
I believe that is correct.
Okay, just.
Councillor Jesse?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I think regarding the dental care program, we came up with some projections. I'm just curious how we got there. What did we use to calculate the projections?
Through the chair to committee member, I'm going to look towards Michael and see if he can speak to the predictions and calculations that were done for that.
Thank you, Jackie. Through the chair. The predictions were in line with how we were looking for our year-end spending for 2023. We also took into account that the contracted services, which we had to use for the entirety of 2023, would be reduced significantly when we had staff on hand. So that was our, when we look at 2023, it will be slightly higher than what we've put forward for this. But that was taken into consideration, is that we will have staff on hand, and that should reduce our use of contracted services.
Thank you. Councillor Van Pasten?
Yeah, on the same subject, I guess, is the intent to request an extra $316,000 from the province for that. But what is the fallback position if we are not approved for that? Do you expect the municipalities to make up for that, or are we just going to cancel the program when we run out of the funding?
Through the chair, we've actually worked on implementing a wait list for the program. So the intent is to stay, if we do not receive the funding, we will try our best to stay within that $633,000.
One more question? Go ahead, Councillor.
Well, I don't know if it's a question or a comment or a very biased complaint, because I am a tobacco farmer, was a tobacco farmer my whole life, but we still have the, you read through the stats, there's just over 11% of the population of Haldeman, Norfolk uses tobacco products, and we spend $300,000 telling them how bad it is and, checking in stores to make sure they don't sell to minors. But it's over 22% of the people use cannabis, which I don't see how we don't do anything to say how bad that is. So, I think I've harped about this before. It's been since 1964 that tobacco was bad. Why do we still have to spend that much money? And one of the mandatory programs from the province is to go and check to make sure stores aren't selling to underage people, so they dress up people to look young and or look older and try to get them to buy stuff. Seems to me that's a waste of money after 50 years. So it's my sort of constant little biased complaint. I can't use that other word, can I?
Good point. I agree with you. We don't have any signs up to say, how bad the cannabis is. We don't have inspectors going into these shops that sell cannabis. So I agree with you totally on that. Yeah, I think we're fully aware that tobacco is unhealthy for everyone, but so is cannabis, and the vaping that the children do nowadays are very detrimental to their health, and we just we're not going out there and promoting how detrimental that is to our young people. So I agree with you. Any other questions or comments? Yep. Go ahead, Councillor Van Riesen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you. Since we're winding down with the COVID, and the COVID shots now are being enrolled with the other shots that we're getting, have you heard, are we receiving any funding through the ministry for any continuous COVID delivery at all? Or has that been totally cut off and we're totally done with all that?
Through the chair, there is pretty firm understanding from our side that there will be no funding going forward for COVID as of January 1st, 2024.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Oh, I didn't get the mover and the seconder? Sorry about that. May I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Seconded by Councillor Duthie. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.3, social service and housing. There are no social services and housing reports on the agenda. Subcommittee, there are no subcommittee reports on the agenda, and there are no communications. Other business, there are none. We are going to move into closed session. 11.1, verbal update, strengthening public health, H&SS 24-014. There is one closed session item today. Can I have a mover for the following motion, that the committee enter closed session at 9:55 a.m. pursuant to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, as the subject matter pertains to B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. D, labor relations or employee negotiations. May I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Metcalf, seconded by Councillor Duthie. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm here to take you behind the scenes for a quick look at what we do at Norfolk County's water treatment facility. Here in Port Rowan, the water treatment process starts by pumping water from Lake Erie up into the water treatment facility. Back in the treatment facility, I inspect large clarification tanks where the lake water enters the plant. Here we add coagulant, a chemical that attracts dirt particles together. These form into larger particles called flock, which eventually sinks and is sent to waste. Next, the water enters the filtration system where any remaining dirt particles are trapped by the filters. The water is then chlorinated and sent into a 113 cubic meter underground storage chamber. The water is then taken to the granular activated carbon filters that work like supersized 10,000 pound Brita filters to remove taste and odor. The final step is disinfection, which includes UV and a final dose of chlorine, ensuring safe, potable drinking water. Water testing is an important part of the job. Throughout the day, we take water samples at different stages of the process, up to 9 tests, depending on the treatment facility. As a Norfolk resident myself, I am proud to serve the community I live in. Thanks for joining me in this behind-the-scenes tour.
Hi, I'm Marissa, and I'm here to take you behind the scenes for a quick look at what we do at Norfolk County's waste and recycling operations. Here at the transfer station in Simcoe, residents can bring a variety of waste materials for disposal. Norfolk operates 2 transfer stations, welcoming about 27,000 customers every year, and accepts material ranging from bulky items, wood, metal, and yard waste. Norfolk also provides curbside waste programs. Recycling from your home arrives at this facility where it is manually sorted by the type of material. You can see why it's important to separate materials into the correct bin, rinse recyclables, and remove items from bags. This facility processes 4,600 metric tons per year. That's equal to about 20 tons per day. Once items are sorted by material type, they are baled and ready to be shipped across North America to be made into new material. About 8 to 10% of the material that arrives here shouldn't have been put in the recycling bin. Residents can use our Recycle Coach app to confirm if an item can be recycled. After seeing how waste is handled, I hope this video helps show why rinsing and sorting your recyclables are important steps in the recycling process. As a Norfolk County employee, I am proud to serve the community I was raised in. Thanks for joining me on this behind-the-scenes tour.
Hey Norfolk County, whether you're a longtime resident, new to the area, or simply visiting, do you know about the many services provided by Norfolk County? As a single-tier municipality, we provide services that our community uses every day, including water and fire protection, curbside garbage and recycling, road and sidewalk maintenance, and so much more. We also provide services needed at unique times in life, such as a marriage or business license, or a dog tag for your new companion. And the unique geographic features in Norfolk County, from farmland and forests to lakes and wetlands, means we also provide specialized services ranging from drainage applications to tree inspections. Wondering how to contact Norfolk County? Start with Service Norfolk. Our friendly team of agents is here to help. Reach us by phone at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday to Friday. Calling about an issue after hours? No problem. We have you covered. Prefer online? Email askus@norfolkcounty.ca anytime, or use our customer service portal at service.norfolkcounty.ca and get a reply right to your email inbox. Want to visit us in person? Come to one of our friendly customer service counters in Simcoe, Monday to Friday, or Delhi, Tuesday to Thursday. Service Norfolk, connecting you to Norfolk County services. Hey Norfolk County! While winter is a time to get outdoors and enjoy seasonal activities, it's also a time to pay extra attention to the weather so that you and your family are prepared for snow, ice, and storms. Keep watching for 4 tips to stay safe and be a good neighbor this winter. Tip number 1. Get the latest local news so that you can be prepared for winter weather. Listen to Norfolk's local radio stations or visit norfolkcounty.ca/news to subscribe to our news emails for alerts sent right to your inbox. If social media is your go-to, follow @Norfolk County for updates. During a significant weather event, which may be declared when a storm has a potential to be dangerous, roads may take longer to clear, and residents are urged to stay home and avoid unnecessary driving. Tip number 2. Keep your sidewalks clear of snow and ice. Norfolk's winter snow and ice bylaw requires property owners or occupants to clear sidewalks beside their property by noon the day following a snow event. Failing to do so could result in a charge under the bylaw, or county staff may clear your sidewalk and send you a bill for the service. Tip number 3. Move your parked vehicle from the road to allow snowplows to do their work. During a snow event, Norfolk's parking bylaw requires residents to move their vehicles off county streets. Failing to do so may result in a $75 parking ticket and an expensive towing bill. Plus, when snowplows have to maneuver around parked vehicles, windrows can form, making it difficult to access driveways and cross the road safely. Tip number 4. Give our road crews time to clear the roads. Our crews start with high-volume roads and then move to rural roads and concessions, followed by subdivisions. It may take time for your street to be cleared, but rest assured, we will be there as soon as we can. So let's do our part to be a good neighbor so we can all have fun and stay safe this winter. To learn more about winter safety, visit norfolkcounty.ca/winter.
Norfolk County. My name is Anna, and I'm here to share some water safety tips to keep you and your family safe around the water. Knowing how to swim is a life skill and an essential part of staying safe and having fun. Swimming lessons are the best way to learn essential swim survival skills to recover from a fall into deep water. Think you're too old for lessons? There are programs designed for teens and adults as well. With so many lakes and rivers, Canadians of all ages are avid boaters. Always wear a life jacket, it could save your life. Never swim alone, regardless of age and skill level. Always swim with a buddy. A buddy can throw you a buoyant aid if you get into trouble. When possible, wade into unknown waters to prevent injury. Backyard pools are a great place to make family memories. But remember, if you are not within arm's reach of your child in and around the water, then you've gone too far. Drowning can occur in as little as 10 seconds and it is silent. Every drowning death is preventable. Take time to educate yourself and those around you to ensure you're staying safe and having fun around the water. For more information, visit norfolkcounty.ca/watersafety.
Hi, I'm Mayor Amy Martin, and I'm here with the Director of Planning, Tricia Givens, to talk all things about Norfolk County planning and development. Hey Tricia, how are you?
Hi Mayor Martin, good thanks.
I'm wondering if you could share some information with the public about who the planning department is and what you do, and maybe start off with the composition of your team.
Sure. We have recently grown, so there's some core groups in our team that are really important to share. We've got the development group, which is led by a supervisor of development planning and 5 planners. We have a new position, which is the project lead for long-range policy planning projects. We have our GIS team, which includes a supervisor and 2 technicians. And then we have our admin supports, which includes a planning coordinator, development coordinator, and secretary treasurer.
And everybody has different roles and responsibilities, but on a high level, what are the roles and responsibilities of the planning department?
So we are required to do all things related to land use planning. So the number one piece is the Planning Act. There's a piece of legislation that sort of dictates and lays out the framework for how we work. So that's around development applications and people coming in with their specific applications. And then there's provincial policy conformity, so those broader county-wide projects.
And all of the planners, you know, they're working towards, or they are registered professional planners. Can you comment on the designation of a planner and what that means when we're processing files?
Sure, that's really important. So as professional planners, we do have a standard of work and a code of conduct that we're required to follow. And in that, that's reviewing applications or running processes that broadly make sure we're planning for the role of the good of the community, the public good, and not always specific to one individual project.
I think it's an important part because I think it really differentiates the role of staff and council in the planning process. And it's something that I'm frequently asked about in the public. How does that work? What does it look like? So maybe you could share with the public the difference between, you know, the council meetings that we host for planning files, our public hearings, our committee meetings, and then the subsequent council meeting where we approve files at a later date.
Sure. So there's two areas. So there's for specific development applications. So those are individual applications that come forward. And under the Planning Act, there's specific process and things that we're supposed to do. So for those applications, we are required to send notice to the public, post notice, share the information, have it publicly available. And then we bring that information of the complete application to council. First, we do a public hearing where folks can come and council hears about the application, poses questions, and then we come back later with a recommendation to council based on all of the information. The other types are those county-wide projects, such as a growth study or an official plan review, where there's more information, more opportunity for engagement, and we're collecting more information that comes to council. And usually there's multiple presentations to council before any decision.
So you've touched on a couple of things. One, what is a recommendation from staff? What does that mean?
That's really important. So ultimately, council makes the decision. So staff takes all of the technical information and our professional review of that particular application. And based on all of that, ensuring it conforms to our official plan, the Planning Act, the provincial policy statement, et cetera, we make a recommendation to council. And council takes that under advisement and ultimately makes a decision.
And that recommendation may be to approve the particular file in front of us, to reject it, to defer it to a later date. It could be a variety of different recommendations.
That's right.
Yeah. And so there is a really important piece, a role that the public plays during this process at that public hearing committee. So obviously council and staff, we really want to hear from the public when we're dealing with development files, but there's another reason why it's really important to get the public to speak and share input on the record. Can you comment on why that's so important?
Absolutely. So again, two specific areas, the specific development application or the broader county-wide projects. So for a specific application, it's important, I think, for staff and council to hear those neighborhood feedbacks, the input, and also to have their issues addressed. And then that informs the council decision. It also informs the planning recommendation to some degree. Similarly, for those broader county-wide projects, it's very important for staff to understand those perspectives and again to inform any recommendation to council.
And there is an appeal process to any decision that ends up being made by council, correct?
That's right. So that is for any statutory application. There is ability, and the rules are different depending on the type of application, but for the most part, there are opportunities to appeal those applications.
And it's important for members of the public to be on the record, either by way of written correspondence or speaking at a council meeting in favor or in opposition to a file if they're interested in appealing, right?
That's right. So staff are always really excited to see folks coming and giving their input. So we get things in writing all the time, but also folks can come in and share their input or ask their questions directly at the public hearing committee.
Yeah, I agree. It's so important to hear, and it's a way that it helps staff and council make informed decisions about the type of development we want to see in our community.
Absolutely.
And certainly as mayor, and I know you probably agree as a staff member, it's our preference to keep planning decisions made on a local level. We really don't ever like to see a file go off and be appealed.
That's right. And so on that note, council does play a key role in the planning process. Do you want to perhaps speak to how that works from a political perspective?
Sure, yeah, it's a lot different than the staff perspective, but it's that important piece where we connect with the community, we hear their feedback and their concerns, and as you mentioned, those recommendations come forward to council at the public hearing meeting first, where we can ask those questions and talk with our community members, but subsequently comes back to us later for a council decision. And we're similarly to staff, we're really stuck making decisions based on the land uses, not giving consideration to a lot of the other factors that I think community members believe council members can weigh in on. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying to build the best community for all of Norfolk County, and we'll do it one file at a time.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we go, top 3 most asked questions that I get all the time. I'm going to rapid fire them to you. Are we planning on growing in Norfolk County?
So yes, in our official plan, we identify our growth. And right now, interestingly, we're undergoing our comprehensive municipal review, which is how Norfolk is going to grow to 2051.
And we've already touched on it earlier, but with that appeal process, it's very difficult to say no to development. So we should really be, at a local level, kind of carving out the development the way we want to see it in our communities. Second question, I'm often asked, why doesn't council say no to more planning files?
So that's an interesting question. So I'll start with our official plan. Our official plan identifies all the designated land uses in the county. The zoning bylaw overlays and identifies specifically what you can do on each property, each type of zone. So with the exception of hazard lands and some natural heritage features, there's identified permissions already in every zone across the municipality. So if somebody came for a building permit, they could get a building permit anyways. There's some instances where people want to change those uses, and that's when things come back to council for consideration. So in that context, council's considering that adjustment or that change.
But people can come to the planning department, and they don't even need to come before council if their request meets those land uses.
That's right.
Okay. And then why do some planning applications feel like they take so much longer than others?
We often get that feedback. So under the Planning Act, there's very specific statutory timeframes for each types of planning application, and staff works really hard to meet those statutory timeframes. Sometimes we don't get all the information we need, or we realize partway through that some information was missing. But for the most part, staff are working towards meeting those statutory timeframes.
And they're the same across the province.
That's right,
correct?
across the province.
Every municipality has them.
That's right.
Okay, thanks so much. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226-NORFOLK, extension 1842. Or you can email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks so much for watching.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We get a lot of questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. The first big question is, what is the official plan? Norfolk County's official plan describes council's policy on how lands in our community should be used, managed, and developed. It is prepared with community input and helps to ensure the future planning and development will meet the specific needs of our community. An official plan includes issues such as where new housing, industry, offices, and shops will be located, and what services like roads, water mains, sewers, parks, and schools will be needed. It also defines when and in what order our community will grow and outlines community improvement initiatives. The official plan is approved by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in Ontario. The current official plan was adopted in 2016 with a goal to manage the growth of this county for the next 20 years. Residents can see Norfolk County official plan on our website at norfolkcounty.ca/official plan. What is a secondary plan? A secondary plan is a more detailed policy document embedded within the official plan to address the growth and development issues unique to a specific area of the county. For example, the lakeshore area in Norfolk County or a particular urban area with defined characteristics can be a secondary plan. As I mentioned, it is a more detailed policy document. It provides directions on where future development will occur with a guideline on density, road access, infrastructure services, different building types, building heights, or even design guidelines that are compatible to that specific area. In Norfolk County, there is only one secondary plan at this moment, which is the Lakeshore Special Policy Area Secondary Plan. The Port Dover Secondary Plan would be the second plan the county is working on at this moment. What does the land use designation of a property mean? Norfolk County's official plan also identifies how individual land or a group of lands will be used, and this is done by the land use designation. In Norfolk County, a lot of lands have been designated as agricultural. Some areas have been designated as hazard lands because of their specific natural features. An example would be the natural creeks, streams, rivers, or shoreline areas. Some lands have been designated as residential, commercial, or industrial to efficiently manage the growth of specific land use. Each land designation has rules about the kind of development allowed. The official plan uses growth management data to identify where and how much growth will occur in the next 20 years. In accordance with the provincial requirement, Norfolk County reviews and updates these growth areas every 5 years. What is the process of changing an official plan designation? A landowner can request to change the designation of the land through an official plan amendment application. This change requires a public hearing meeting and council's decision. A landowner needs to consult with a planner to get more information about this process and to identify the required documents they must submit. Any official plan amendment needs to conform to the provincial policy statement, which is a planning policy document that affects all municipalities across Ontario. This provincial policy statement is currently under review and may change in the future. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those, like, what types of planning applications are there? There are 4 main types of planning applications for different needs. First, there are minor variances and different types of severances. These are reviewed by Norfolk County's Committee of Adjustment. An example of a minor variance is when a garage is being built closer to a property line or is taller than what is permitted in the zoning bylaw. An example of a consent to sever is creating a new lot to allow for a new house. Second, are zoning bylaw and official plan amendments that are considered at council. An example is changing the permission in an urban area to allow for a triplex where a single detached dwelling is permitted. Third, are applications that Ontario's Planning Act gives Norfolk County's Planning Department authority to approve. For example, a draft plan of condominium or subdivision, which are types of applications which enable the division of land for future housing. And fourth, are applications which rely on approval from another regulator, such as telecommunications towers and hazard land boundary line adjustments. As a resident, when do I need to submit a planning application? For the average homeowner, a planning application may be required if your project does not meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw or official plan, or your property falls under site plan control. The building department will let you know that a planning application is required. If you want to change the boundaries of your lot, create an easement, or create a new lot from your property, you will need to apply for a consent to sever with the planning department. What is a pre-consultation meeting? A pre-consultation meeting is the first step of a planning application and allows staff to clarify the application process and provide a checklist of documents required. A complete application can reduce the time required for review and decision-making. Applications that must undergo a pre-consultation meeting before the application can be submitted include official plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments, draft plans of subdivision, draft plans of condominium, and site plan applications. A meeting may also be required for certain Committee of Adjustment applications. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842. You can also email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. A common question is, what is zoning? Zoning is a way of categorizing how land can be used. Norfolk County has identified through its zoning bylaw different land use zones, for example, commercial, agricultural, or residential, what they can be used for, and any required standards, for example, building size and location. Zoning must be maintained by any development or activity that has started from the date the zoning bylaw has been passed by the county. What is the process of changing a zoning bylaw? A common reason that residents are referred to the planning department is because their proposal does not meet the current zoning bylaw provisions. If a landowner wants to change the land use from what is permitted in the existing zoning, a change in the zoning bylaw would be required. For example, changing the permission from only a single detached dwelling to expand the permission to build a triplex. This is called a zoning bylaw amendment and it requires council's approval. A planning application known as a minor variance can be submitted for a minor change in the zoning bylaw, such as the height or size of a structure. Minor variances are reviewed by the Committee of Adjustment that is made up of citizen members who are appointed by council. The committee is governed by the Planning Act and holds public meetings to approve applications for minor variances and consents. A minor variance must meet the 4 tests to be approved. 1, the change is minor. 2, the development is desirable for the appropriate use of the land, building, or structure. 3, the change maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan. And 4, the change maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. What happens after a decision is made by the Committee of Adjustment? If the committee approves an application, the applicant and anyone else involved is notified. Certain parties can appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal within a 20-day appeal period. If no appeals are filed, the county issues notice that the decision is final. For minor variances, an applicant can now proceed with the building permit process. For severances, specific conditions must be met within 2 years, or the application will expire and the process will need to restart from the beginning. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We've got a lot of questions here and this video series will answer some of those. What is a severance? Severance is a planning process to separate a piece of land from an existing lot, generally for the purpose of a new development within a new lot. There are 3 different common types of severances we receive in Norfolk County. The first one is when a piece of land is separated to create a new parcel of vacant land. For example, a landowner may have a large lot and wish to separate a piece of land from the original lot with the intention to sell the lot to a new owner. In that case, both lots need to comply with existing zoning requirements such as setbacks of any existing or new buildings from the property lines. The second one is a surplus farm dwelling severance. It happens when a landowner purchases additional farmlands and a residence on one of the properties is no longer required for their farming operation. In this case, the owner can sever the piece of land that contains the redundant residential dwelling. And the third kind of severance can be a boundary adjustment between 2 adjacent properties, where one property owner agrees to transfer a piece of their land to the other owner. There are various reasons we received a boundary adjustment severance, such as to allow additional lands, to accommodate a building construction, or to construct an extended septic system, or to resolve the setback deficiency of an existing lot. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We've got a lot of questions here and this video series will answer some of those. What is a subdivision? If a landowner would like to divide their property into 3 pieces of land, they can submit a severance application that we explained earlier. Whereas a subdivision application is required when a landowner has a piece of land large enough to divide into more than 3 or 4 individual lots to build new houses or other kind of developments. The subdivision process generally requires a more in-depth review with a longer processing time to ensure that the development meets county's development standards. What is a condominium? A condominium, often known as a condo, is an ownership model where the building or group of buildings is divided into multiple units that are surrounded by common areas for circulation, servicing, or amenities such as parks and open spaces. The common areas are jointly owned and managed by the owners of the units. Residential condominiums are frequently constructed as apartment buildings and townhouses with private roads. Many shopping malls are also commercial condominiums in which the individual retail and office spaces are owned by businesses that occupy them, while the common areas of the mall are collectively owned by these business entities. A condominium corporation is often made up of condo unit owners who manage and operate the condominium complex. What is the difference between a subdivision and a condominium? One of the main differences between a subdivision and a condominium development is who is responsible for providing services such as water, wastewater, and road maintenance after the construction and occupancy of the dwellings or units. In a subdivision, the county takes responsibility for providing these services to individual lots. On the other hand, in a condominium, the county is only responsible to providing services up to the entry point of the development. The condominium is responsible for distributing services and the maintenance to the individual units. How are subdivisions and condominiums approved? To get approval for a subdivision or condominium, the landowner must apply for approval of a draft of the plan that shows how many lots are proposed, the lot size, how the lots will be accessed, including any new roads, and how the lots will be serviced for water and wastewater or other utilities. The planning team will provide guidelines to the landowner on the standards they need to comply with. Examples include road design, tree plantation, fencing requirements, and maintaining a buffer from any existing industrial or commercial sites, etc. Generally, the subdivision applications go to council for a decision, whereas most of the condominium applications are currently approved by the county staff under delegated authority. How are residents informed about a new subdivision? When a draft plan of a subdivision is approved, the neighbors receive an approval notice of the application. The neighbors have 20 days to appeal against the approval or refusal of the draft plan. Once the appeal period has expired, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done by the developer before beginning the construction. An approved draft plan of subdivision does not constitute a legal lot. It is merely a draft plan. Norfolk County must ensure that all lots are appropriately designed and serviceable through a subdivision agreement, and only then can the lots be registered and the owner can apply for a building permit. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We get a lot of questions here, and this video series will answer some of those. What is site plan control? Site plan control is a tool that planners use to evaluate a proposed development to ensure the site features and elements such as walkways, parking areas, and landscapings, and many other technical features meet specific standards. For example, standards may include engineering design, sustainability, and universal accessibility for barrier-free access to the building or within the property. What do I do if I have submitted a permit and I have learned my property is under site plan control? If a property is under a site plan control, the first step is to speak with a planner. A planner will need to learn about what is changing about the lands, which may or may not require a site plan application. What is a site plan waiver? Sometimes the nature of a development is so minor that a site plan application is determined to be unnecessary. In this instance, a site plan control will be waived. If you have learned from a planner that it is appropriate to waive a site plan control, you can submit an application form with any required documents to the planning department to receive a site plan waiver. Do all lands require site plan control? Not all lands require site plan control. For example, single-detached dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, and townhouses that are serviced and accessed from a public road. Agricultural activities or farm buildings also do not require a site plan control. Most new commercial, institutional, and industrial developments require a site plan control. A site plan agreement with the landowner may be required to ensure that appropriate standards are maintained during the construction period. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Norfolk County. Do you know how your property taxes are spent? Let's take a look together. First, we need to start with Norfolk County's budget. Every year, staff and council confirm the funds required to be collected from the property taxes paid by you and 35,000 other Norfolk County taxpayers. These funds contribute to Norfolk County's levy and capital budgets, which lay out how your tax dollars are used. The capital budget is also funded by the rate budget, the funds paid by residents known as ratepayers for water and wastewater services through their monthly water bill. The levy budget is used to deliver programs and services for residents ranging from emergency services like fire and EMS, waste services like garbage collection, recreation services like arenas, trails, and parks, maintenance services like snow removal and road repair, and human services like homelessness prevention and health education programs. Our levy budget also supports our libraries and museums, administrative services for council, and the many staff who keep Norfolk County operating. Services like recreation programs for children, adults, and seniors, and our Ride Norfolk Transit program are also paid for with property taxes and supplemented by user fees. And across Ontario, a portion of each resident's property tax bill goes to our local school boards. About a third of the property taxes collected are allocated to the capital budget or reserves for future capital spending, which includes other funding sources like the federal and provincial government, reserve funds, grants, debt, and development charges, as well as funds from the rate budget. Together, the capital budget goes toward longer-term projects, such as our investments in water and wastewater facilities, as well as building and renewing our parks, roadways, pools, arenas, and other things we use every day. So the next time you hear someone ask, "Where are my property taxes going?" you can tell them to look down, look up, and look forward. Your tax dollars are at work all around you every day. When you visit your local park with your family, drive to work on cleared roads, register for swimming lessons, get rid of that old couch you've outgrown, or contact Service Norfolk about that pothole on your street that needs to be fixed. Your tax dollars are also being invested in initiatives to improve the lives of Norfolk County residents in the years to come to make Norfolk County a better place for future generations. While Norfolk County's budget is prepared once a year, your feedback helps us make decisions and plan for the future. We are committed to listening to you so that our budget reflects what is important to our community. Learn more about Norfolk County's budget at norfolkcounty.ca/budget.
Hey Norfolk County, did you know that Ride Norfolk is now on demand? This
Thank you. May I have a mover to motion to reconvene in open session at 10:34 a.m.? Thank you, Councillor O'Neill, seconded by Councillor Metcalf. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Motion to accept the following recommendations at the closed meeting. Update strengthening public health be received as information and that staff proceed as directed. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Van Riesche, seconded by Councillor Dudley. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Our next meeting is Monday, April 22nd at 2024. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 10:35 a.m.? Moved by Councillor Metcalf, seconded by Councillor O'Neill. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Have a great day.